college because I joined Honeywell from campus. And where I was waiting for Honeywell leadership to come and address at my college. It's the same feeling I'm going through after 20 years. So very happy to be part of all of you. And really looking forward that, any questions, any clarifications you would have, which we all can share as leaders, which can help you shape your career. So feel free. We are here for a very open interaction. So feel free to ask any questions. And if all of you can mute yourself, I think it will be good. Yeah.
So with the quick introduction, Vishnu, did you say that this team is from a BSc? Is that what I heard from you?
It is from BCA department.
Yes.
BCA, which is Bachelor's of Computer Application.
Okay. Okay. You want to talk about, see, what is the scope of a BCA in an industrial world? Maybe we can start with that and then we can get into a track discussion.
Okay, let me get started. I think that's a fascinating subject that you all choose to be part of, right?
Good.
Yeah. I mean, I would request all of you to go on mute so that I don't need to repeat. And if you have a question, you can raise your hands and we'll just go through that. The time is limited. So
I'm sorry, you are on mute.
मैं अंदर ऐसे बीच में बोल रहे
काढून टाकले अजून काढ इकडे
Sir, I hope your voice is muted, sir. Hello.
Somebody mutes.
yeah, I don't know. Let me get started again. Guys, one request to you all. Please mute yourself. Don't mute me.
Sir, I hope your voice was muted, sir.
I know I will repeat, but Vishnu, I request all the students on the call to stay muted and don't mute me. I'll try to repeat
Yes, sir,
what I was trying to say. Okay, so
Yes.
once again,
Yes.
yeah, I'll keep it short. Guys, it's important that you continue to kind of upgrade your skills. Whatever you kind of acquired as a knowledge through your curriculum is just 50% of your qualification. So I keep saying to my team here that graduation certificate will have an year of passing, but that doesn't, I mean, they won't print your expiry date of those certificates. But I will tell you, all your qualification will expire in 3 to 4 years.
okay.
Come on, it's, can't do this.
Keep going.
Okay, so I keep it short. I think upgrade your skills on the IoT applications. Understand what a Kubernetes cluster means. What is the data analytics is going to kind of give us a solution for industrial healthcare, even to the connected aerospace domain that we are part of. So I would say constantly upgrade your skills. There is n number of platforms out there today. You can choose from at your convenience, at your pace, that you can keep upgrading your skills. So my one input to you guys is you need to acquire a lot more understanding with respect to the cloud, database, front end, UI, cyber security. I think even the site reliability engineering, it's all about how do you kind of run your operations, because whenever you host anything on the cloud, it should never go down. So how do you kind of build a redundant system in place? All those are going to define the future. So Honeywell as an organization, we are transforming ourselves into a SaaS-based business model. So as many other companies are trying to kind of catch up with what Honeywell is leading today. So I would encourage all of you, upgrade your skills with respect to the cloud, database, encryptions, and also understand how do we kind of stay relevant with respect to the ever-changing needs of this IoT applications today.
And maybe I'll add to what Bhaskar said, because the technical skills becomes very, very important to keep yourself upgraded and relevant. But since you are in the formative stage of your life, do understand the importance of behavior. Because when you enter an organization, both your technical skills as well as behavior and soft skills becomes equally important. And what truly defines your growth is what is your attitude towards working with team, your agility, how fast you are driving, decisions or any kind of work in the organization. It's a small behavioral element, but that defines you as a person and also defines your nature of work. So do give equal importance, I would say, to your technical skills as well as your behavioral skills. That would help you.
Well said. Thank you, Manisha.
Yeah, and
Thank you,
just wanted to add that even if your technical skills will become redundant because of change in technology, your behavioral skills always keeps on adding up. Absolutely, a positive behavior,
Yes.
Behavior to learn new things certainly will differentiate you from others in the market. So please focus on that too.
Yeah, maybe I would add one more thing to what you heard from my colleagues here. Being inquisitive is very, very, very important. You have to ask questions. Questions could be more fundamental, or questions could be more applicability of those technologies or whatever you learn. But if you are more inquisitive, you will learn faster. When you learn faster, your contribution to the organization and to your career will be much more faster. So that's how I would add to what.
Well said, Ron. Yeah.
True.
Right. So with that, maybe if you can open up for any questions from any of you, and all questions are good questions.
Yeah.
So go ahead first.
We take control of the questions.
Yes. I have received a few questions from the students, sir. Madam,
Yeah.
I will post my first.
Yeah, go ahead, Vishnu.
Students, can you please? Yes. Sir, few of the students have posted the questions to me directly. One of the question is to Manisha Goyal, madam. They wanted to understand how to get the women's girl students, because this institution is more of a girls oriented institution. How these girl students get into STEM kind of an science, technology, STEM kind of an opportunity? How they wanted to get into and what they wanted to explore, or what they wanted to develop is one of the questions, madam.
Okay, so and maybe I'll ask my colleagues to add. So I think it completely depends on the interest and aspiration of what you want to be, because even in STEM, if I look at overall science and technology, there are various streams of engineering. So I think it completely depends, whether you want to go to electronics, instrumentation, or computer science, or software, and also the kind of technology platform you would want to work in future, right? I think that becomes very, very important. And I would say the opportunity outside is immense, because it's not about Honeywell. We have multiple multinational organizations as well as Indian organization, which gives opportunity to equal employment, right? Because when we ourselves go to campuses, we look for both male, we try to create a balance between both male and female student. So my suggestion to all my female colleagues would be that just decide what you want to do and give your 1000%, I would say, try to excel in whatever you do. And then there will be no dearth of opportunities outside. Because today, from an organization perspective, we are always hungry for good talent. In fact, there are times where we don't get the talent what we are looking at. So I think so the opportunity is vast for all of you. Just try to excel in whatever you are doing so that it becomes. Are you able to hear us?
Vishnu?
Vishnu, you are able to hear us?
Yes, madam. Great.
Okay.
Yes, madam.
Sure.
Great, madam. I hope that was the right answer. One more question from one more student is how to prepare themselves for the corporate world, madam. Because these students once they are completing their degree, they wanted to get into the first job. So, what would what are all the abilities and the skills they have to develop for themselves to get their first job? Because the question was clean. The question the student has posted that how I have to prepare for my first job. It's what the question is, madam.
Okay, so maybe I'll start and I'll request all my colleagues to add on because they are the key hiring managers for us, hiring leaders. But I think there is a huge difference in terms of, when we study in a college and when we get into an organization. Okay, I think when we study, a lot of focus is from a theoretical perspective. And when we get into an organization, the entire practical application comes into the picture. So, my suggestion to all the students will be when you are studying, you always try to see the practicality and the implementation part of it also. Don't just restrict to the theoretical part of it. And to enter into the organization, see, knowledge is one part of it. We spoke briefly about behaviors because knowledge is, you would have it. But to succeed in an organization, I think behaviors becomes very important, and behaviors can be as simple as how would
निकाल के रखे है इसको आवाज करूं करूं
Yeah, I think someone muted. Maybe I'll just explain what I was saying, that the technical part or the functional part becomes very important because when you enter an organization, you all go through an interview process where technical assessment becomes one integral part. But what I think, you should also focus on, how would the behavioral part of it, which we briefly spoke about before, and that will help you when you start working in the organization. And the behavioral part can be as simple as, how you work well with your teams or how good you are in terms of communicating your thoughts. When I say communication, I don't mean English. We all are able to speak good English today, but it is more of how clear you are in terms of communicating what you would want to communicate, how you are sensitive to your colleagues, how you respect each other's opinion, and how you are able to ask the right question and make your presence felt in the organization. I think these becomes very, very softer part of it. So I would say that, when you're grooming to get into an organization, look at both how you excel from a functional perspective as well as from a behavioral perspective. I think.
Yeah, that's a very good summary. I mean, Manisha, you touched everything. Only thing I want to add is the depth of the subject.
Yeah.
Because we are in our curriculum. I remember I studied 83 subjects in my electrical engineering. But what is more important is how deep you say that you know a subject well, right? It could be, let's say from electrical side, it could be induction machinery, or it could be starter motors or whatever. Or I will have my friend talk about the chemical engineering part of it. So it's all about the depth that you understand, not the superficial knowledge that helps you in answering one word answer, 10-word answer that kind of gets you a good mark. That's one part of it. But during interview, because we get a lot of good students who are applying for Honeywell, but when I have to make a choice, I kind of look at the depth of the understanding. So maybe Deepak, you want to add anything?
Absolutely. And, subject matter expertise in whatever you are doing is absolutely important. And how do you really apply it into the real world is something which we directionally check. We know not everyone will have a very good understanding on the practical world, but the thought process they bring in terms while answering those questions are very, very important. So if somebody is thinking beyond and trying to apply some of the concepts they are using it, we do check those things. Directionally, it may not be fully 100% right, but as long as somebody is thinking in the right direction, we certainly value it. The behavioral aspect that Manisha pointed out is very, very important, guys. It's very important that we achieve some targets and goals, but how do we achieve it is extremely important. And some of these questions which you ask during interviews to gauge people's approach towards how they value their colleagues, how they take the team together. Are they ready to work in a team? Do they value their fellow colleagues? These are something which we are trying to look for. And absolutely, we all have to be thoughtful about the fact that we are going to work in an organization and not work as a silo. As an individual, we are important, but as an organization, as a team, we have to really display those strengths also. So absolutely very important on these particular aspects, which you should also start slowly honing up, right? How do you work as a team? And it's not about individual brilliance. It's all about how your individual brilliance is converted into team excellence, right? That's the point which we really look at while interviewing people.
Yeah, and maybe one practical suggestion I would want to give all of you when you're sitting for an interview, don't fake anything.
Yeah.
You know, that becomes very, very important. Be very honest, be very genuine. You know, as an interviewer, anyone can make out very easily whether it is coming directly from your heart, that work you have really done, do you really know the subject, rather than you trying to show that you are super smart. I think if you're very honest and genuine, it comes out in your discussion and your chances of getting absorbed becomes very high.
Yeah, maybe I may want to add one more. Keep your profile very attractive. See, when you look at the profiles of, if you get 100 profiles, maybe 1 or 2 looks different and it attracts. So if you can keep your profile very, very simple, but make it attractive, in case you have done a project, detail it out, and that will give some kind of an insights about what kind of person that the interviewer is going to be interviewing, and then elaborate on top of it really good. Your profile is your sales flyer, and please remember that.
So true.
Over to you, Vishnu.
Yeah, next question.
Sir, the next question is, the students are from BCA department. The one question is, the one student has asked, sir, what are the top 3 technologies I should learn to get my job in 2023? Because these students are going to be passing out in 2023. They are asking which top 3 technologies they can work on to get their job in those technologies.
Okay, let me give my inputs. I think if you are from a computer background, you should have at least written 10,000 lines of code, right or wrong. You should have compiled, debugged it by yourself, right? If you just know the concepts, I think it's not going to kind of get you the dream job that you're looking for. So hands-on algorithmic or design, I mean, let's say coding, it's very, very essential. You choose the language that you want to do coding with, whether you want to do a Python or C or C++, how logical is your I would say design flow is very important for us, and we would like this. I mean, it's important for you. You start developing algorithms, right? As simple, I will say, if I ask any of you in the interview, I'll give you a number. Can you do a cube root of that? And the math library is not given to you, and I just want to know your workflow. How do you kind of do a cube root of a let's say 4-digit number? Maybe it's a 5-digit decimal and 4-digit number. Sorry. So that's as simple as that. Finding a cube root of a 6-digit number with 6-digit decimal without using a math library, I can say 50% of that question you'll not be able to do if you have not written algorithms on your own. Okay, I just want to kind of give that basic understanding. You should have compiled code, you should have developed code, you should have debugged it by yourself, basic thing. From a technology standpoint, I would say I think Python is very prevalent. Right, you need to have a very good skill on kind of Python is very easy to learn as well. Now it is being adopted in I would say in every platform that we are dealing with, right? And you need to kind of have a very good database understanding. Let's say it's SQL. Pick any database again. I mean, whatever you want, Postgres, SQL, whatever. Just say one database you should be good with. I would say SQL. JavaScript is good. I mean, you need to know that. And I also want to tell you that you should understand one cloud infrastructure very well. whether it could be Azure, whether it could be the Amazon Web Services, or it could be your Google Cloud or whatever. I mean, that doesn't matter. Your cloud concepts are very, very clear only when you kind of use it. So if you all have a laptop, tonight please download the Docker, right? Start kind of building a first container and then see what containerization is all about. That's a buzzword, right? I would say understand the cloud container virtualization as a concept very thoroughly. And these Dockers are the freely available software. Download the Dockers, start kind of building some scripts on that. And language wise, I would say always C++ is never going to go out, but you need to know a scripting language like Python and SQL kind of a database or Postgres or whatever you want to kind of pick as a database is very important. So as Ram said, right, this technology will evolve, right? When I kind of passed out, there is no Python, right? When you are of my age, Python will not exist, right? The hunger to kind of keep upgrading yourself is equally important as how good are you in the current technology. That gets you the first job, right? So I would say that technology wise, whatever I mentioned is important, but don't forget that like it's a constant learning. That's very, very important. That's fundamental because as an organization, we evolve, right? As a company, we are competing with other competitors and we are kind of adopting newer technologies. AAML was not even many people know what the abbreviation of that. Now, Honeywell has tons of products which are dealing with AAML, right? So it's as the processing power gets more and more, the data compression, the video surveillance, the streaming, and all this we are doing. And this technology wasn't there in the past. Right? Sorry. So I'll pause there. I would say this is all the technology that is going to be very relevant. And I think students on this call, I think you all should have a hands-on experience and a very fundamental conceptual understanding of what it is. So I would say that please start coding. Coding is never going to go out of fashion. I think whichever language you prefer, I mean, you should have at least by the time you come for a job, you should have coded 10,000 lines of code. Right or wrong, you should have written and debugged and made it work.
Absolutely.
Great, sir. Great. That is true, sir. Even during ICT Academy's annual meet, our chairman used to address. Last year's address was he suggested that everyone should know coding. That was the thing, sir. One more question is from the student is regarding the recent layoffs that is happening in the industry, sir. How it's going to affect them, or it is going to be in how layoffs are being considered for when they are going to pass out in the year 2023 is the next question, sir.
Yeah, I mean, as a performer, you should never worry about layoffs. And I'm saying layoff for business decisions, right? Like suppose Twitter has been acquired by Elon Musk. Twitter was as good as it is last month to this month, but there is a business decision that kind of triggering some layoffs, let's say from one of the social media like Twitter, right? It's very important for us to kind of stay relevant to the job that you are performing. And when you are a publicly traded company, there would be market dynamics, there could be economic dynamics, or there could be scenario like COVID or World War or whatever you want to call. That is kind of going to kind of influence some of the investment decision from a company standpoint. But on a long term, I don't think that that is going to cause a concern. At least I would say, if you are kind of upgrading yourself and staying relevant to the technologies and other thing, I think you don't need to kind of worry of. And it's very hard to kind of predict how much will be the layoff in a company and how long this layoff will last. I mean, it is not worth predicting it because they are all public traded companies will have a very huge commitment they made to the shareholders, and I think they need to be very true to their financial fidelity in which they are managing their business. I would say that that continue to kind of happen in pockets. But COVID kind of a scenario is one in a lifetime. I would say that every one of us is affected and kind of had an impact of layoffs or reduction in investment, or globalization got a little hurt, your supply chain got more hurt, your tourism got completely shut down. There's a one-off scenario. I would say I kind of place these two as two different things: economic driven and some, I would say, calamity driven, like your war and COVID kind of a thing. but most of the public traded companies need to kind of make sure that they kind of do the right things. So
yeah, and maybe I'll just add to that the way I see layoffs. See, these are very internal decisions by the organization to be more efficient and so that the gunning for more growth in future, right? And the moment you are gunning for more growth as an organization, you would need good talent to help you out on that. So from that perspective, while some of these decisions, as Bhaskar was explaining, can be driven by XYZ reason, but that does not mean the organization stop growing. And there will be never, if someone is really good, and that's why for you it becomes very important how you continue to do good and excel in whatever you are doing, so that when organization comes in, they absorb you, because they will always be, irrespective of a cost situation or a layoff situation, organization will always hunt for good talent.
Absolutely.
So you should not, as a student, you should not have that in mind.
I want to add a very interesting data point here. So we are talking about layoff, which means people are losing their jobs. But on an average, in the last 8 years, anything between 30 to 40,000 new PF account, the Provident Fund account, that is getting created, which means, and I'm talking about only in Karnataka, which means 30 to 40,000 new people are getting employed. Number one data point. Number two data point. Look at the worldwide. Everybody is talking about, say, either getting into a degrowth, but look at India's GDP. 7% still, 6.1 to 7, and that's what we are still talking about. The opportunities in India is still growing up. Now, what happens is there is a noise about layoff and there is a reality of layoff. The noise is 10x of the reality. Now, at Twitter saying that, okay, 10,000 people are losing their jobs is a noise, but what you don't hear is parallelly an FMCG is hiring, say, 3,000 people. You don't hear that, right? So a lot of times you please look at the noise and keep that aside. Don't worry about the noise. Look at what is happening and connect it back to a data, and you will realize that the opportunities are high. This is one piece of it. The second piece of it is that true to be your profession, not necessary to be an industry. You might start with, say, for example, a services industry, but why not look at a product industry? And we are not even talking about the software products, right? It could be a hardware product. It could be, say, for example, chip making, right? So you saw Vedanta is creating a huge chip making factory in Gujarat, and they are looking at 13,000 engineers over a period of next 5 years. So look at all of those kind of macro trends. I would say that the opportunity space is huge, and especially in India. And I can tell you, there are a lot of people who are coming back from the US and Europe back to India because the opportunity in India is only high. And I would say you are all in the right place at the right time.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I would just like to add one more point. I think as a student, it should not even come to your mind.
Yeah.
Your focus should be purely in broadening your skill set. Keep adding to your skill set. And I can tell you, organizations would look at people with multiple skill sets.
Correct.
Would remain in the organization because they can always move from one skill which is getting redundant to other skill set. So as long as your focus is in broadening your skill set, I don't think these kind of small noise will deter it. India will anyway go through a very, very good growth opportunities. I think there are some challenges in US markets, but this is again like it's a normal phenomenon which happens every 4 to 5 years. Let's get used to it. Let's focus on keep on building skills which are becoming more and more relevant. That way you become relevant for any organization and you continue your career growth as it is. And I think most of us who are there as a part of the discussion have done the same thing. We have added to our skill set and we are important for the organization, right? And that's what all of us have to do. So be relevant.
Great, sir. I hope you have given a great confidence to the students that they should rather focus on their skills rather than on the news, because the data points you've added have given them a great confidence on skipping the news and rather focusing on the skills. That is great, sir. Sir, one more question is, what is the biggest risk that you have taken or in other terms, how the students would be inspired by your story, because you have grown to a level of certain leader in Honeywell. So would like if you could each one of you tell about 5-10 minutes about your own growth story. It will be a great inspiration for the students, sir.
Okay, I'll go first. So incidentally, I'm not a software engineer, I'm a chemical engineer. 26 years into the industry, I started as a design engineer, designing oil and gas refineries, moved into a licensing area where we license technologies, right? That's a big learning. It was a big leap for me because that was something which is additional skills which I gained over a period of time. And then I moved into R&D, right? So moving from doing designs of open art technologies to licensing technologies, which are very, very patent oriented, moving into R&D and developing those kind of technologies is it, in short, I can tell you my journey about. So every time I moved, I didn't move because I was not doing good in a particular role. I moved because I thought my learning there was kind of now limited. And I moved into an area where I was pushing myself beyond that barrier and going into areas which were pretty unknown to me. I was going into an area where I didn't know like what's in there. But certainly, the moment your focus is on learning new things year on year, absolutely it changes the whole context. Now, the skill set has gone up beyond, I mean, so the entire journey I've done, we've done from really executing things to developing things. Absolutely, your skill set broadens over a period of time. And that has been my journey. And I think every move I have made, certainly I've added a lot of confidence, a lot of additional skills into me. And that certainly makes me confident that I can now venture into different business, different areas, and do different kind of things. Absolutely, that has been my journey. A lot of challenges on the way. Every time I've moved into a different role, uh, things are new, people are new. There are already people who are good in that particular area. You have to compete with them, you have to collaborate with them, you have to work as a team. So absolutely, it was not just about gaining the technical understanding of those areas. It is all about also gaining learning through experiences, managing different types of people, working with them, taking them together, and those are other behavioral skills which I learned. So absolutely an excellent journey. I am still learning a lot. You learn a lot from your colleagues, you learn a lot as a part of Honeywell. Honeywell is an excellent organization for anybody to grow their career in very wide set of technologies, right? Even if I'm not a software engineer, I listen to our software colleagues, right? All the time. And every day I am learning a lot with respect to how those businesses are and what are the new things that are coming up in that area. So absolutely keep your mind open. That's the key thing which I like to keep give a message on.
Okay, so
Really an inspiring journey, sir, because you've highlighted one point that you have to keep learning throughout, and you have taken risk at all point of times to move yourself from a comfort zone to a different zone where there, as you said, there are experts in that, and you have competed in, sir. Really an inspiring story. Looking forward to hear from others too.
Okay, let me tell my story. So I'm the first engineer in my family. I'm a family of 4. I have 3 siblings. All of them are in accounts. Okay. My father used to run a small filter coffee shop. We used to buy the coffee seeds. We have to roast it and grind it, and it's a sole proprietorship. So you know that every family member is an employee of that organization. So my job is to kind of deliver those coffee powder in the morning, and then in the evening I will come collect the money from the big restaurants. I still remember vividly in my mind that when I come from a place called Pondicherry, it's a very small town. So I was part of one of the very famous school. My father, whatever he did, he afforded a very good education for me. So I see all the students in uniform going to the school, and I come in the opposite direction in color dress. After delivering the coffee powder, I have to do that before 8 o'clock because the hotel has to run the entire day, right? So all of my friends used to ask, why are you not coming to school? Why are you coming this way? Is the school closed today? All sort of questions, right? I still remember my cycle. Then come home, I dress up and go and do whatever I do in the schooling. I never thought that I need to do engineering. I need to kind of appreciate my physics teacher and the chemistry teacher who kind of told me that you should pick it because my father wasn't an engineer to even tell me how to write a JEE exam or whatever the exam, nothing I know. I didn't even know the way to engineering. I would call Mr. Vishwa Kumar, who is my class teacher, who told Bhaskar you should take engineering. So it was him who influenced me to kind of go. I am not very, I could not even talk a good English grammatically for more than 1 or 2 sentences. I know broken English. That's what I am made up of. And from there, I kind of took an engineering. I found it pretty hard. The first year was very, very hard. I thought of running away from that engineering. But then I kind of enjoyed, I found my strength in kind of doing it. I did pretty well. Surprisingly, I did very well. And then I wanted to join Indian Air Force. Okay, that was my dream. I don't know why I liked that uniform. I liked the aircraft. I think somehow I said I wanted to be an aircraft engineer. So, but then my family again said that I don't join the defense because my mother has a scene of defense means it's all war shooting each other, right? So she said that no, you should not join defense. But then I joined HAL. I was very happy I joined HAL. I worked with Rakesh Sharma. I don't know if you all know, he's the first Indian in space. So when I went into the department 5470, I still remember, I had to go and sign the attendance. One person was standing next to me to borrow my pen and he wrote, I didn't even know who is he. He said, hey, I'm Rakesh Sharma. I said, wow, I'm working with Rakesh Sharma in the same department. I thought, so that gave me goosebumps of really what I am doing. But my learning continued. There was a point in time I wanted to switch into the software industry. Okay, that was the year of Y2K. Every other engineer want to do something in software and go to US, right? That was the dream, a fashion of that software that day. But I don't know anything on software. Again, I had a dream, but I didn't have the skill again. It's a mismatch. I stayed close to the, some of you from Bangalore know, I stayed close to the Tata Institute or the IESC, the Indian Institute of Science. I was sharing a bachelor accommodation with one of my friends. I used to go, since first job is HAL, my shift gets over at 4 o'clock. So I get dropped in the IESC. I go into a part-time class. That's where I did my C, C++, data compression, all this DSP, everything I learned when I was employed in HAL. And I didn't have a computer to kind of practice any of this algorithm coding that I'm telling you guys, type 10,000 codes, right? So I used to go to the IAC library and then say that, Anna, I have my class on Wednesdays and Friday, but Monday, Thursday, all this lab is free. I stay very nearby. I will come to the lab. Will you allow me to use? You'll say, no, those days classes are booked by somebody else. I said, anyhow, I will come. If there is a computer freak, will you give me? He said, okay, I'll give you. First few days, he was very strict. Then onwards, he allowed me into the lab. I go to IAC lab every day. IAC department, computer department, I log into any computer that is there in the computer department. I used to kind of do all nonsense coding, compile, none of them worked. I used to understand all the defect, how to make it work, I didn't compile anything good, but I did some 500 errors. Every day I will do some mistake. I never saw the mistake, but then I come and think about it. Why it didn't run? Why I discuss about that to my friends. That is how I learned computer science. And then came my dream. One of my friend, who's a good friend, he said, hey, you should come for, I mean, when I was in Honeywell, there is a big, HAL, there is a big poster, there is a Boeing cockpit, and then it said, this is how we see the world, the cockpit picture, and that is by Honeywell. Right? So I said, okay, this company seems to be making some cool stuff. Sorry, I never boarded an aircraft because those days flying is an expensive thing, right? I would be thankful to Honeywell. They picked me and they kind of put me in an aerospace department. I have done all sorts of jobs that I can, be it a software designer, a tester, a program manager, system integrator, whatnot, customer facing. My dream moment comes when then Honeywell handed over the leadership saying, you run the global Honeywell BNB. All the products that are going to fly will be certified by you, Bhaskar. You should have the ink on the paper, you should sign that. And had thousands of my dream moment that I am talking to the president of this company who runs the $14 million aerospace business. And I kind of said, that is my story of from nowhere, struggling to kind of find my path and then figuring out my dream and then seeing my gap in the skill, figuring out a way of kind of getting that to my dream. And then I would say, once I kind of found a place like Honeywell, I would say, Manisha with HR in the loop, I would say, what Honeywell hired me and what Honeywell paying me, it's two different companies, because all the skills that I have today, I had none of them when they hired me, right?
Yeah.
And it's a constant learning that I kind of, one thing I want you guys to take out from my story is, there is no retirement for learning. You can retire from your job. You choose to retire whenever you want, but that learning should not stop. You can learn anything. It could be cooking, it could be whatever, whatever you want to learn, but there should be that curiosity of learn something new every day. And if it is aligned to your profession, it helps you to be successful. It need not be aligned to your profession. So I'll pause there, guys. Thanks for listening.
Hey, Vishnu, I know we're almost like 12 minutes beyond what you originally planned. So we need to stop in another 2 to 3 minutes time. So is there anything as a closing comment that you want to make, Vishnu?
Yes, sir. Sir, one final remarks from each one of you on the learning, sir. Because even recently, the Infosys founder made a comment regarding the rote learning that is happening in institutions. He commented on it. So with that, the final remarks, we can close the session, because the learning is, because I could see from each one of you, to become a leader like you, the learning is an inevitable component that students would have understood by now. Seeing the stories of the leaders like you, they would have known that learning is not going to stop now or tomorrow or at the end of the college. Only by the end of the college, the learning is going to start. So with your comments on learning experientially and understanding things on that, we'll close this session, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
So maybe I can start with me, because I think among all, I'm the most experienced one from a number of years in the industry. I'm 36 years, 35 years in the industry. Even last week I was learning. This is a new tool called Tableau, not a new, relatively it's about 3-year-old tool. It's called a Tableau, which is a visualization tool. And I was going through a training session to learn. It's a formal 4 hours of a training session. 36 years into the industry, and I was still learning through a formal classroom training. If that can tell you what should be something that you should be learning, please remember, not like technology, where technology changes every day. In the line of finance, doesn't change a lot. We are still measuring the performance of a business the same way for at least last 70 years. But still, the tools that you use to articulate your financial results, that change, and you keep learning. So maybe I will stop there. Maybe give it to the 3 of you.
Yeah, so maybe I'll go next, Vishnu. I'll not talk about learning, maybe I'll talk about the value system which I've got from my parents, which helps in my learning. The 2 things my dad used to say, and I always still remember till date. One, he used to say that if there is a tree which is full of fruits, it will always bow down. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I think that results in a lot of humility. Okay. And that results in learning. So where you're continuously asking questions or learning or behaving as you don't know. I think that has helped me a lot. And second thing, again, my dad used to say that irrespective of whatever you do, always look at people who are below you. You will be very happy. We have this habit of looking people who have progressed much more than us. And then you feel sad about, okay, he's become so big in life, but I have not achieved anything. But if you look at people who are like, at par or below you, you will feel, you'll thank God of what you have become in life. I think these 2 things, Vishnu, has always kept me going. And that has always resulted in, how you look at new things, how you continue to learn, and also how you continue to contribute to others, right? So I think with that, I'll pass on to Bhaskar.
Yeah, thank you. Good. I think I would say learning is 3 things, You should know to learn, you should learn to unlearn, you should learn to relearn as well. Because certain things you need to continue to do to get a subject matter expertise, like what my friend Deepak mentioned, right? In a chemical kind of a niche skill, I think continuous learning, keep relearning what you know, by kind of experimenting what you've learned and then kind of tweaking from the theory to the practical application of your learning. And you should also know how to unlearn certain things, because some of your learning has to go away. If Ram is learning on the 36th year, I am very sure that there is a lot of unlearning as part of the learning as well. So I would say that learning is a constant endeavor. And again, learning should not be measured in marks.